and my parents are having a hard time just getting me through it. So I'm just looking for ways I can help them and start making some money of my own. And
Sure.
what I like seen about appointment setting that was really good is like the flexibility and like you remote yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? So I would say there's 3 reasons why I recommend anyone who's starting online to get into appointment setting. Number
Yeah.
1 is it truly can be done from anywhere in the world. Number 2 is it's a valuable skill set that you can develop over time that will serve you no matter what you do um, in your next step. And then number
Yeah.
3 is it's relatively simple to get into because it doesn't require a lot of like technical skill set. As long
Yeah.
as you master a couple of skills, one being how to have a conversation with people, and number 2, how to take a lot of actions,
Yeah.
and number 3, how to think creatively or critically, meaning that if you're not just a robot hoping to copy and paste a script, but you're able to think about what the other person is interested in and what their hopes and dreams and challenges might be. Just being a real thoughtful human being,
Yeah.
coupling that with the drive and the commitment to like take actions, um, and you're coachable and you're willing to learn. Those are like basically the requirement to get started, right?
Yeah, that yeah, I've heard these requirements before, and it seems like I could fit into this pretty good.
For sure. So I
Yeah.
guess if we can have a bit of a coaching moment here, right? Can you
Yeah.
give me like the quick overview? I know you're pretty young.
Yeah.
Um, would this be your first job ever, or have you done anything in the past where you were like earning money?
Yeah, so I've worked in my mom's business a little bit, but it hasn't been any like sales or anything near that. So yeah.
Sure. And what kind of
Yeah.
business is it?
It's and it's for like the environmental stuff and dealing with the water stuff in Sweden.
Okay,
So I've helped her draw maps a lot there, and that's what I've been doing.
got it.
Yeah.
So I would not, and there's nothing wrong with this, right? Is that
Yeah.
it, or have you had any other like think about like volunteer experience, anything you've done in school?
No, not really. I don't think.
Uh-huh. Or passions? I know you're into alpine skiing,
Yeah.
right? Like, have you taken classes? Have you gotten like awards or accolades from alpine skiing? Like, meaning, are
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
good at it?
Yeah. 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 I've gotten
Okay,
good at that. What
got it.
was it you? What was it you asked? Really?
Yeah. So what I would say is don't underestimate
Yeah.
your previous experience, and definitely don't underestimate your passion or what you're really good at outside of like this is what I do to make money. Like if you're interested in
Yeah.
sports and you're really good at the sport, it's actually a very positive attribute that hiring managers and founders look for, because typically people who are interested in sports are competitive, and you
Yeah.
want to be and you have to be competitive in sales. So what I'm saying is, when you think about what you have done in the last, I'm going to guess your age here, right? 17, 18 years.
Yeah.
Um, think about the positive sides and the skill set that you learn. So let me give you an example, right?
Yeah.
So if you work at with your mom business, there's nothing wrong with that. Number 2 is if you drew maps, what skill set does that require? Attention to details,
Yeah.
critical thinking, right? That's all part of
Yeah.
that one of the three things I mentioned earlier on, right? So how can you use your experience, or how can you even just talk about your past experience, helping your mom's business, and use that as, hey, this is what I've done, and this is how it applies to an appointment setting job, right? So
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's the first point of advice. Like, if you really love alpine skiing, talk about it and mention it in your interview or in your process of getting an appointment setting job, because people, me as an appointment setting manager or hiring manager, wants to know you personally. And if you have things that you're passionate about, it helps you stand out, right? The other thing I would say too is, let's take alpine skiing for an example, right? What does that take to be good at? Dedication, right? Practice, like commitment. All of those things are qualities that a hiring manager like myself would be looking into and be interested in knowing. So there's two ways to get a job. Either you have the experience, or you know how to do the job very well, right?
Yeah.
And you can be a crappy person, but if you are a great sales rep, you can get a job very easily. The other way is if you don't have experience, but you are a great person, and we as a hiring manager or CEO of the company can see that you have the qualities of being a good sales rep. If we invest in you, that's your other way of getting a job as an appointment setter. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I gotta get into more that stuff then, if I on the interviews and stuff.
Yeah. And you in terms of hours, are you thinking like you want to work with like somebody or some company in Sweden or like in Europe with the same hours, or would it be like anywhere in the world?
To be honest, just I'm not thinking about it too much, but just where I can get like hours on my day and be pretty flexible with them.
Got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So two places that where I would recommend you look into. Number one is where you probably already spending most of your time, YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah.
So I would look for like sports brands, or like influencers or athletes, right? Or people in the sports space, right? That either have a following, or have a YouTube channel, right? As one potential place where you can find companies to potentially just look into and maybe work for. And then number two, I would recommend is actually Facebook. You probably don't even have a Facebook account. But
yeah, I have one, but I'm not using it a lot, or mostly for like the Messenger app.
Right. So it's one of those things where there's a lot of like older people on Facebook.
Yeah.
But there's not a whole lot of young people on Facebook. And the problem with that and the opportunity for you is that most people who are young, who are typically would be an appointment setter, are not on Facebook. So there's a whole bunch of people that I know, like business owners, who are looking for appointment setters on my Facebook, and the demand is, or the supply is not there. Meaning you guys are not on Facebook and you're not seeing people looking for setters because you're not spending time on it, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Whereas with Instagram and YouTube, you're probably all of the places on there, but the business owners that might need appointment setters are not on there, right? So I would probably look at both Facebook and also, and there are Facebook groups that post like online remote jobs all the time. You can start taking a look at some of those opportunities. I would caution you with some of those Facebook websites where there's a lot of like fly-by-night coaches and companies that only pay commission, and they want you to like work your butt off for very little money. So it takes some skills to know what opportunity is good and what company is good to work for. Your best bet, I would recommend, is make a list of like 10 sports related company that you might be interested in, or like a YouTuber or an influencer that talks about sports a lot. And then make a list of 10 to 20 companies, start following their pages, right? And then go through their content and see if they are hiring. And if they are hiring, you can apply, right? Or you can just reach out to the founder or the content creator and just tell them, hey, I really love your content, would love to see if and how I can help and support you, right, with your company, and start building connections that way. When it comes to like, if you are going to pursue an appointment setting job, a much better approach that I recommend to my students, to people I talk to, is instead of trying to like blast 100 resumes and like apply to 100 jobs and spend 1% on each one of them, pick 10 companies and then spend like 100% on 10. So go for quality versus going for a lot of quantity across the board, right?
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say is, if you don't have experience, right, which you do not,
Yeah.
the one thing that you can use to stand out is showing me or showing the hiring manager or the CEO how much you want the job.
Yeah.
Right. So me as a hiring manager, I've interviewed probably 100 people and I've seen 1,000 applications, right? If somebody's kind of okay and good at appointment setting, but I could tell that they don't really give a crap about the company and they kind of put very little effort into the application, versus Casper, who don't have any experience, but like truly wants the job. I could tell that you are hungry, you are driven, and you're not like a complete, like, you know, I'm trying to find a nice way to say, like, you're smart, right? If you can show that you can think critically, that you're smart, and you want the job more than anybody else, I'm gonna give the job to you because I know you would try harder.
Yeah.
Right. The last thing I'll add, and I'll leave some time for a question if you have any, would be you might go through an interview, and then they might say, "Hey, we're gonna do a mock exercise." Like, do you know what a mock exercise is?
No.
So a mock exercise would be like, hey, I want you to assume that you're already an appointment setter for our company. And I want you to call me, like a pretend phone call, and try to set an appointment with me. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like an exercise. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like an exercise, right? And it's that exercise is designed for two reasons. You're not expected to do it perfectly. So me as a hiring manager, I'm not looking for you to like execute that phone call perfectly. What we're looking for is two things. One, are you even willing to do the task? So if you say you're not willing to do it, you're going to lose the appointment or the job.
Yeah.
That shows that you don't have the will to even take on the challenge, right? And number two, we're looking for whether or not you are coachable. So one, you have to be willing to take on that challenge and do it. And number two is, if I give you feedback on the call about your performance, you should be able to take the feedback and apply it.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. So is there guys who like deny doing that on an interview?
Yep, it happens all the time. People say, I'm a great salesperson. I've done this before. I know I can get appointments for you. I'm a great sales rep, right? And I go, okay, let's do a test. Try to set a meeting with me, right? And if they are not willing to even try with me, who is not a prospect, clearly they're not going to do that with a real prospect in real life, right? And by the way, we're not looking for you to be perfect. Like, I don't expect you to be like, you say exactly the right words and like you are so impressive that you set a meeting with me. The point of the exercise is, one, are you willing to even try? And two, are you able to take feedback? So you're gonna try it, and then I'm gonna give you feedback right after you try it. And then if you're not taking notes, you're not writing things down, you're not trying to like remember how to get better, then you're not coachable, right?
Okay.
So yeah, those are kind of all the secrets I gave you today.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. So companies, do a lot of companies use appointment setters? Because I haven't really heard of it before I like found it on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, so I would say most companies, most real companies have appointment setters.
Yeah.
They might just be called different names, right?
Oh yeah.
So you know how like in skiing you have like special names for like big hill, little hills, right? It's the same thing in business. Every company has a function where they need to create more sales appointments. They just call differently in different industries, right? So, if you work with your mom was, I think you mentioned she might in the water business, right?
Yeah.
For her business, she's probably the name for appointment setter might be different than if you're at a software company. At a software company, an appointment setter is called a sales development rep, right?
Yeah.
At a coaching company, they might be called a growth specialist, or um, a marketing assistant. And it depends on kind of, are you doing outbound phone calls? Are you taking inbound phone call as well? But at the end of the day, there's always going to be a need for appointment setters. So basically how business works is there's marketing, right? Marketing generate leads. Then there's salespeople who meet with the leads, right?
Yeah.
And try to close the deal. What's in the middle is appointment setting. So
Yeah,
in
and
theory, all companies spend money on advertising and marketing, and all companies have a sales process, right? What is that call in the middle is different for each companies. So I hope that helps.
yeah, definitely. So if I say that I would like try to DM like a hiring manager or a business owner, would I still call it appointment setting when trying to,
Yep.
or
It might be
how would
called,
I?
yeah. So like this is why you want to kind of make a list of 10 companies and start
Yeah.
studying them a little bit, because then you understand their language, right? So I would say some companies might not even have that appointment setting title at all. It might be called a junior salesperson, right?
Yeah.
Or a sales assistant. The key thing is you want to read the job description. And if the job description involves contacting leads, responding to inbound leads from website, from marketing, that is appointment setting.
Oh yeah. So you have to look out for the description of what the job says it is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you find like a company where you can't apply and have to message them directly.
Yeah. So if I were you,
Yeah.
here's what I would do. The best way to get a job in appointment setting is to go through your network, meaning people that you know, your mom's business network, right? Like just referrals, basically. The second best way to get a job in appointment setting is through kind of what I've just outlined. Instead of applying to 100 jobs on LinkedIn or on some job site, is you make a list of 10 companies and study them. And you should know who the founder or the CEOs are. And all I would do for those 10 companies is I would personally message the CEO and say, hey, I'm really impressed with your company, love what you're doing, love your content. Just wanted to let you know that I appreciate your work.
Yeah.
So now your name is in there, right? So hopefully they recognize your name as you engage with their content and respond to their stuff, right? And then from there, I would say, once you start developing a conversation with these CEOs and these companies, at some point you might go, hey, I'm really interested in what you guys are doing. Here's what who I am, right? I'm really interested in sports, alpine skiing. I've been working with my mom on her business, but I'd love to get into helping your company, right? Do you have any opening in a job opening at your company in either in sales or marketing?
Oh, so you start off with just conversations to get to know them and their business.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. So you definitely don't go just asking them for a job immediately.
Correct. Yep. So
Yeah.
like it's kind of like, you don't want to go and ask right away, hey, my name is this guy, I want a job. Do you have anything for me? Right? Again, this is all part of what you're doing there is appointment setting. You're literally applying the same process for your job description or for your job search as though you are an appointment setter. The difference is you're setting an appointment for yourself, right? So if this CEO, if they are hiring already, the CEO could say, yeah, we actually are hiring. Let me introduce you to this person, and like maybe a hiring manager. And now you are literally getting an introduction or a referral from the CEO to the hiring manager, and you're already standing out from every other candidates because you actually know the CEO, and the CEO is saying, hey, interview this guy. Take a look at his resume or his application, right? If they don't have a job, they might tell you, yeah, we don't have any opening right now, but you stay in touch, you continue to engage with them, or they might refer you to another company that are hiring, right? So yeah, that's what I would recommend to get started.
Okay, yeah. And like finding these companies, how would you go about that?
So yeah, so fortunately we don't have too much time here.
Yeah.
But let me see. So are you on Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know what the result is going to be, but let's just see what we find on Instagram as is it called alpine skiing? Am I spelling that correctly?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. So I would search what alpine skiing, what the search results are. If that doesn't show up, I'll do skiing, right? How do you even see? This is why I don't use Instagram.
Yeah.
I would look for like accounts with a lot of likes. You see, this would be the first place I would start because you are already on Instagram, right? I would search for brands that are either doing a lot of content on Instagram already in the sport that you're interested in. And then the second place I would look is Facebook groups. So let me share this here. So I would go, if you're on Facebook, you can search remote appointment setting. And then you can go to groups, free job opportunities, appointment setters. You can join these groups and start looking at who's hiring and what type of jobs are available. So those two would be my recommendation. But I would definitely start with the Instagram and the YouTube thing first, because you only need to find 10 companies that you are interested in, right? It's more important that you are interested in the company than who's hiring.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I got you there. It seems kind of hard to find like one in alpine skiing, a company there. I personally can't think of any right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you follow anyone on the sports?
Yeah, like athletes, other athletes, or
So it's gonna take some time for you to find it. And again, right, you only need a handful of companies that you might be interested in yourself, right? So maybe there's some brands, some influencers that you're already following. Look at their profile and look at who's following them, right? Who they are following, and that might give you a lot of ideas on companies to follow. But I do have to run. If you have any questions, message me on Instagram or on Facebook. I'm more than happy to help you.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, my challenge for you, Casper, is let me know how you're going. Keep me updated with your progress, and then we'll connect again.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, see ya.
Bye bye.